What did you do, Jessica Blaylock?
I went and explored Garden of the Gods. And Paul, we know that baseball can be such a grind, so any time off is certainly appreciated by both these players and coaches. And after playing 16 straight games, that's exactly what the Marlins got yesterday, a day off in Colorado. Here are a couple of players with how they spent their time.
Off days, they don't come very often, so you got to make sure you take advantage of them. My fiance came to town, and she wanted to go explore. She's a huge fan of mountains and all that stuff, so that's what we ended up doing.
I walked around with a couple of guys and went and got some breakfast at a place called Snooze, I think. It was really good, and from there went to the aquarium, spent some time at the aquarium and walked around and just hung out to kill time. Went by the mall and did a little shopping and had a good dinner to cap the night off.
Went to dinner at STK Steakhouse, nice, good atmosphere steakhouse, and just came back and fell asleep.
You gotta take advantage of it, not just sleep and play video games the whole day, which isn't a bad thing to play video games all day, because I do that too, but not yesterday. We took advantage of it. We had a great time.
No, JP, there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying in your room all day and playing video games. But that's not what we're doing tonight, because we got to get back to baseball. Coming up next, it is first pitch in Game 1 of a 3-game series between the Rockies and the Marlins. It'll be John Gray versus Wei-Yin Chen as we get baseball going here in Denver.
Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide by WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today, and by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Beautiful weather here in Denver, Colorado, as Jonathan Gray gets set to start the ball game. Marlins and Rockies first of 3. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock, thanks so much for joining us as the Marlins wrap up this 3-city road trip here a mile high. The Marlins batting order presented to you by Southwest has Derek Dietrich at the top, Brian Anderson with an 18-game on-base streak, and look who's batting third, the guy that you can vote to the All-Star game as a catcher. Ladies and gentlemen, a friendly reminder, last we checked wasn't even in the top 5. Ask around here, should be leading things. All right, enough of that. Let's get to the starting pitcher, Mr. Hollinsworth. What do we have for John Gray?
Oh, he's making his 16th start of the season, 5.89 ERA. He's got a whip of 1.48. He's got 100 strikeouts. The opponent's batting average 284. I mean, he's got a little bit of this up and down thing going right now. It's kind of hard to figure out, but I'll tell you what, he does not like pitching here at altitude, even though he's their ace.
Derek Dietrich takes a called strike. Yes, their ace that started opening day. In fact, he has pitched the last 2 opening days for these Colorado Rockies, but things have been, well, pun very much intended, a bit rocky for him this season. 0-2 now to Dietrich, and that one in the dirt.
And that's been quite complicated. You'll see the four-seam fastball, the slider, the curve, occasional changeup. Pay attention. He throws hard, 96 miles an hour on that fastball. The slider is hard as well, 90.
Works out of that modified stretch. They check down at third, and the third base umpire Tom Woodring says that Dietrich did go down swinging. So that is the first out of the ball game as we take a look at John Gray.
All right, let's dive a little deeper into what Gray has been dealing with this season. Your AutoNation scouting report of John Gray. No place like home, 6.45 ERA, 7 starts here at Coors Field. Last year, 3-1-3. One thing that stands out is getting more ground balls, but hitters are hitting 60 points higher. History lesson: has not pitched well against the Marlins in his career. 6.75 ERA, 4 starts again. More hits than innings pitched and 4 home runs. He has been prone to the big inning. This might be the one thing that stands out, and we'll see if it plays tonight. Last start, 5 runs in the 6th inning after pitching almost flawlessly through 5 innings. That has happened a number of times. He is 4th in Major League Baseball in innings in which 2 runs or more have been scored. 15 of them. That is 4th in Major League Baseball. So that big inning can happen. Even when he's been cruising, he's been prone to give it up quick.
Retired the first 10 batters that he faced against the Texas Rangers his last time out. The Rangers walked off the Rockies 13-12. That game wasn't here, it was in Arlington. Retired the first 10, struck out 9 through 5. As Brian Anderson's on base streak moves to 19 with a base hit here in the first inning.
Yeah. Mentioned it already. He's giving up more ground balls, more base hits. That's a pretty good example of it right there.
Hashtag All-Star Andy to get Brian Anderson to Washington, D.C. for the All-Star game. One of the position players that you can vote to the Midsummer Classic. And my very cheesy, corny plea for this man right here, as we were giving the lineups, JT Realmuto. And now it's starting to gain some traction nationally. Now there's articles being written about
Absolutely.
this, that he should be there, looking at all kinds of different numbers, not just the traditional stats, but the StatCast ones as well, as this one toward the left center field gap. And that will move Anderson to third. Throw goes into second, not in time, and it's a double for JT Realmuto.
Well, that is classic Coors Field for you right here in the first inning. Congratulations to JT, his 100th career double. All right, let's take another look. Splits the plate, jumps all over it, lines it into the gap. As you see what the size of these gaps are, they're huge. If it's not hit right at you, you're always thinking the extra base. So Anderson, he's getting to third base, nothing to worry about. But if you're thinking it out of the box, you've got a chance to get a double. You see JT sliding in head first. It's just too much ground. 2.66 acres of outfield here at Coors Field, biggest in baseball.
There's Justin Bohr now. That one blocked by the catcher Tom Murphy, one of 3 catchers on the Rockies roster. It's the start behind home plate tonight. A ball to no strikes to Bohr. The Marlins in business after the strikeout of Derek Dietrich. The base hit by Anderson and the double by Realmuto. Miami trying to get on the board in the first inning. And a called strike. And first inning runs on both sides here at Coors Field are certainly a storyline. Colorado, 67 runs scored in the first inning. That leads the major leagues. But 65 runs allowed is third most in the majors, most in the NL. So settle in if you can, if you're a pitcher.
25 years of history. You're speaking to a former Rocky. You know, listen, they've been trying to figure this place out literally since the day it opened. I'm not sure the answers really have been quite figured out on the whole. Listen, this is an organization that hasn't been back, gone back playoffs back to back. 25 years. Bud Black, congratulations to him, by the way. His 1,600th career game tonight.
Ball and 2 strikes to JB. Takes inside, 2-2. Yeah, they've tried all kinds of different things. Humidors. They've raised the wall a little bit. They've added I think they call it the Breitich barrier after their GM in right center field. That screen, that extension to the fence to make it a little bit higher, just to try to keep the ball in the yard. But there's so much real estate out there. It's the gaps that's the issue as Bohr strikes out for out number 2.
I'm going to give you the defense for the Colorado Rockies for tonight's ball game. Cuevas gets the start in left field. Blackman in center. Gonzalez over in right. It's a pretty special defense, by the way. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, and Desmond. Very, very good defensive infield. Very athletic. We see Murphy getting the start behind the plate with Gray on the mound.
Two on and two out now for Starlin Castro. 1 for 4 with a couple of RBIs Wednesday in the afternoon finale against the San Francisco Giants, but 4 for 24 on this road trip through Baltimore and by the Bay.
Now, so far from what we've seen from Gray is lay off that slider if you can. Recognize it early out of his hand. He really hasn't thrown it for a strike, although it's definitely a chase pitch. He goes to it to try to get a quick swing and a miss. If you can stay on that fastball, I think he's been prone to make mistakes with it out over the plate. Such odd numbers for Gray this year. 4th in the National League, as I mentioned in the open, with strikeouts. Now at 102.
And yet, as I mentioned in the open, it's the worst qualified
ERA.
ERA.
Right. I like I said, I mean, believe me, we spent a lot of time, you and I, trying to put this one together and figure out what this young man's dealing with. He's only 26 years old. Certainly know what they think of him here.
3rd overall pick in 2013. The 1-1 to Castro. Blocked again. Murphy's been active behind home plate today. Castro has hit in 6 of his last 7 games against Colorado. 9 for 27, a double, a home run, 2 RBIs. Marlins looking to crack the scoreboard in the 1st against John Gray. Castro, right field line, and foul. Carlos Gonzalez back on the active roster for the Rockies, was not on the active roster when Colorado was in Miami the latter part of April. Just off the wall by 3-4 feet. The 2-2 with Anderson off of 3rd and Real Muto off of 2nd. Gray delivers. Center field, Blackman froze for a second, comes in, goes out, and makes a leaping catch. Tough one to judge on the line drive by Castro. We'll see Wei-Yin Chen next. As we take a look at the Rockies lineup presented to you by Southwest. A couple of former batting champs in the lineup. DJ LeMahieu and Charlie Blackmon at the top. Nolan Arenado putting together another terrific season. How about Trevor Story, currently leading the National League in RBIs. He himself is having a terrific offensive season. And we take a look here at Wei-Yin Chen, who again faced the Rockies earlier this year. His first big league start coming off of the disabled list, start number 11 in 2018.
Well, 2 of 10 have been quality starts. More importantly, his last one was just that, quality. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, a couple of strikeouts against the Baltimore Orioles. Still working on that road ERA. It is up over 8. Batting average elevated as well. One thing that I will say, when you kind of go back and look at his last start, he threw more changeups than any other start this season. Season high, 19 of them. I think that's going to be a big pitch for him today here at altitude. Coors Field. Always found that changing speeds was the way to go. You kept hitters off balance and you would get a little bit more bad contact, which is easier to defend against. See that start on Saturday. Four-seamer, slider, curve, and change. Did make his season debut against this Rockies team and pitched very well. April 28th, 5 1/3, 1 earned run.
And he was efficient that day too. I think that's in our open when I said he surprised us. Obviously not the performance. You expect him to be pretty decent, but it was the fact of the matter that he went 5 1/3 on 68 pitches. So he made rather quick work of the Rockies. Marlins took 2 out of 3 from Colorado back at the end of April. Those were low-scoring affairs. You'd almost be a little shocked if these were. It's got nothing to do with the pitching. It's really just the way this ballpark plays, as LeMahieu was aboard with a walk.
Let's give you the Marlins defensively. Dietrich's going to get the start in left field. Brinson in center. Anderson over in right. Rojas, Riddle, Castro, and Bohr. JT Realmuto behind the plate. Chen on the mound. And it's real important for this outfield defense to stay together. Again, as a former Rocky, that's one thing that we kind of prided ourselves on. What I mean by that is you can't let your corners drift too far away from your center fielder. If he goes 3 steps to the left, you got to bring your right fielder with you, push your left fielder over. So you're almost always moving together. These gaps are enormous.
And strike to Charlie Blackmon. He's 5 for 15 in the series against the Mets, a 4-game set that wrapped up yesterday afternoon. Had a home run in that ball game. A little 3-game hit streak right now. Right side to Bohr. It's the out at second to first. Got him. And a 3-6-1 double play. 2 away here in the first.
Yeah, that's what you like to see. Contact on the ground and not hard. Soft contact right at Justin Bohr. Nice job getting rid of the baseball over to second base. And Blackmon still gets out of the box pretty well. He definitely beats him. Nice job by Chen. Good start to the ball game.
And erasing the walk is huge, because that's part of it. Hits will fall here. Guys will get their hits and their extra base hits. You can't give first base.
Rule number 1. Do not walk hitters at Coors Field, or you will typically be made to pay for them. It's like the number 1 sin.
But if you got an infield defense the way the Marlins do, thanks in large part to Perry Hill, allow the ball to be put in play, and these guys, generally speaking, will make it happen.
You certainly want to face the man in the box with nobody on base.
Especially the run he's on right now. He's homered in 3 straight games. 4th time in his career he's gone 3 or more games with a home run. First time since April of 2016. As Chen deals the 0-1 to Arenado. This one lined to left field, a base hit.
Well, I suppose we shouldn't be surprised, Paul. Came in hitting .419 against lefties. The first inning numbers, I mean, it's like, right? Base hit, there you go. Sometimes the numbers just tell you too much. There you go, 359 at home. He's got them all across the board. He's been swinging a hot bat. 414 over his last 7 games, 419 against lefties. It's one hitter in this lineup I really think you got to circle.
Might want to circle this guy too, Trevor Story. As I mentioned before, leading the major leagues with 56 RBIs and second in the National League with 16 home runs. This one popped up. Right side, Bohr will make the catch. So a walk and a base hit, but a double play helps Wei Yin Shen scoreless through 1.
Presented by AutoNation when you enter the ballpark on Saturday, June 30th as the Marlins take on the Mets. Purchase your tickets today at marlins.com/tickets.
Have you seen the floaty?
I have not seen the floaty.
You want to see the floaty?
That's a lie. I have seen the floaty.
There's
How
the
could I
floaty
miss
right
the
there,
floaty?
big guy.
Careful.
That's the floaty
Careful,
right there.
You got a sharp nose.
Yeah, he does. We played a little game before. It's called Who's Got the Bigger Nose, me or Billy the Marlin?
Well, I guess that depends on who blew it up.
That's true. Honk, honk. Yeah, look at this. Billy the Marlin. There you go.
There's your AutoNation Billy the Marlin floaty.
That's right. See that?
Now, your responsibility for the next 3 days is to bring that to and from the ballpark and make sure it doesn't pop.
I don't think I can be trusted with that.
I think you can. It's part of rookie initiation. You've got no response? Make that happen.
I guess it could be a lot worse.
It's your mission. And don't lose it out of the booth either.
It could be a lot worse.
It's been a little windy today.
It has been, yeah. That's cool, right?
It's awesome.
I don't know if imagine if the fans, when the fans come to the ballpark that day and they, blow it up, and that's big. You got about 20 minutes. You got to blow that thing up. Be a lot of those.
Well, listen. I think we blew it up at altitude. I think if we take it back to Miami, it may only take 5 minutes.
Think so?
Well, it's an altitude thing.
I guess. I don't know.
See how you feel in the ninth tonight.
You get lightheaded doing it?
Maybe.
All right. JT Riddle, Miguel Rojas, and Lewis Brinson here in the second inning. As both starting pitchers worked around a little bit of traffic in the first. Marlins left 2 on. And that is the 3rd strikeout for John Gray. 1 out here in the second.
Yeah, the interesting part of that is it's all the left-handed batters right now. Dietrich, Bohr, and Riddle. This one looks a little bit low to my eye, but caught just enough of the bottom of the zone, I suppose. 95 miles an hour. Definitely thought that was down.
Home plate umpire Scott Berry. Carlos Torres is at first, not our. Jeff Nelson is the crew chief over at second base, and as we mentioned before, Tom Woodring is over at third. It's Miguel Rojas now. Takes a look at ball 1. Rojas starting to heat up a little bit. He had been really grinding, really working, but things are starting to turn around a little bit for Miguel Rojas. 3 for 4. A couple of runs scored, an RBI on Wednesday. 7 for 12 on the road trip. Missed a couple of games in Baltimore after he was hit on the hand, and then it bounced up and got him in the cheek. But things starting to turn around a little bit for Miguel.
Well, listen, this is the perfect place for him to keep going. Line-to-line approach. That's what's gotten Rojas back online, if you will. Think back to that Giants series, a number of base hits, including a game winner down the right field line, a couple of base hits to center field. Again, I think he got a little pull happy, and I'm not sure it's a byproduct of the home runs, but when he started to struggle, it just seemed like a lot of balls were going to the left side of the infield a little bit more. And lately, it's been more of that spray chart, line to line. Hit it where it's pitched. This is the perfect place to do it. You don't come into Coors Field trying to do anything, just kind of let the game happen. You'll get your hits.
What was the number? 2.6 acres?
2.66.
2.66 acres of fair territory outfield at this ballpark. The most acreage of any outfield in baseball.
Like if he were to split the gap in left center field right now, he's standing on third base without a slide. Am I
Correct.
right?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, it's enormous.
347 down the left field line, 390 in left, 415 in dead center, 375 in right center, and 350 down the right field line. But there are also high walls there in right field going all the way from the corner to just to the right of straightaway center field. And a called strike 3. That is now 4 for Gray.
You know, in the first inning, he picked up 2 strikeouts on the slider. Here in the second inning, he's picked up 2 strikeouts on that four-seam fastball. Once again, 95, low zone at the knees. 4 strikeouts. He has been on a strikeout binge. I told you it's complicated. Kind of figuring out Gray's bloated ERA. 19 strikeouts in his last 2 starts coming into tonight.
And now Lewis Brinson. And a ground ball to second base on the first pitch. LeMahieu to Desmond. A 1-2-3 second for Gray against the Marlins.
To the bottom of the second. Well, you heard Paul and Todd talking about this. Coors Field is so unique in the sense that it plays big, but the ball flies here. Because of that, I talked to both Don Mattingly and Freddie Gonzalez about how they plan on playing their outfielders, especially considering that Brian Anderson and Lewis Brinson have never been here before. And they both told me that they're going to start out deep and then make adjustments. The key here is to contain the damage because you know that this park is going to yield hits no matter what. And Todd, you were talking about this earlier. This is a tricky place to play.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Desmond line drive out to right center field, will fall in front of Brinson. A leadoff base hit for Ian Desmond.
Let's show you exactly what's going on here. Now we know at altitude the ball flies a little bit better, so we all, you know, a lot of times end up talking about home runs. But this, as a defender, remember you've only got 3 outfielders. You heard me say in that first inning how the outfielders need to move together. Look what you're defending. We used to always think, and I generally see it even now with the setup for the Marlins, even for the Rockies as well, typically trying to pinch those gaps. You can't get too sabermetrically inclined and start trying to, let a left fielder kind of drift too far away from his center fielder, or you're going to become very, very vulnerable. You see how long those lines are. See, and that's sometimes what ends up happening is that you pinch those gaps. You'll see a triple go all the way down the left field line and hit the 347. And you don't realize as an outfielder, even as a fan, why that's so complicated. Most outfields are what, 330, 335 generally speaking? Well, that's a shorter distance for an outfielder to run. See, the ball just keeps rolling forever. It's part of the problem here.
This one out to left field. We may see just how much it rolls as Murphy is going toward the corner. Desmond being waved around third. Castro will hold on to it, and it's an RBI double for Tom Murphy. Rockies with a 1-0 lead.
Now something like I just said right there. There you go, just like that. Yep, that's that corner. And again, that's what ends up happening. Sometimes soft contact can be your worst enemy here. All right, let's give you the swing. This is the changeup. It's down. He catches it off the end of the bat, but it's not a bad swing. Now it comes off the bat. Again, this is not about exit velocity. It's more about placement. Finds its way into the corner. Look where Derek Dietrich has to go. All the way to the 347 sign in order to pick up the baseball and get it in. By that time, you know where Ian Desmond was? He was touching third base. And how many times the Marlins have cut that run off and made it second and third by getting to the ball quick. Hard to do here at Coors Field.
And that's exactly the difference, is that that's a double in 30 ballparks.
Right.
But it may not be an RBI double in 30 ballparks. Well,
and that's the point, is that as a good base runner, you're always thinking about the extra base. So you get on, or whether you're coming out of the box, if you're thinking about taking it, more times than not, you can. It's about being aggressive.
And this is an aggressive base running Rockies team. As Carlos Gonzalez takes low, a ball and strike. They will attempt to take the extra base. They may have just gotten one right there. But they also have the second most outs on the bases in Major League Baseball. So they are aggressive, and sometimes to a fault.
A little too aggressive. Yeah. Well, listen, you press it down, you try to make it happen, meaning that accelerator. Cargo's hitting 320 on the season with runners in scoring position. He has a job to do here, I'm sure, as they're thinking for those early runs. You know, that's one thing this Colorado Rockies team has done well this year, is score early runs. They've almost played two different types of ball games. Offensively, really good early, not so good late. You watch their run differential. Plus 51 through the first 5 innings. Negative 110 from innings 6 through 9.
But Holly, how could that be? They've got $100 million invested in their bullpen.
Well, that's a conversation we'll get into when the time's right.
Stay tuned in the middle of the 7th for the Ram game break. Bud Black, and to his left there, Mike Redmond, former Marlins manager. Second season as the bench coach for Redmond, Marlins manager, 2013, 14, and 15. 2-2 to Cargo. Swings and chases that one. And it's the first strikeout of the night for Chen.
Nice job by Chen. Really spreading that zone out. Watch the explosion on that slider, down and out of the zone. Cargo really going out trying to pull that ball to the right side, unable to come up with contact. Well done.
Now Noel Cuevas, 0 for 5 against the Marlins in Miami, hitting .277 on the season. Line drive center field. Brinson will make the catch, and the throw goes to second, but Murphy is back, 2 away. So to play outfield here is tricky for a different reason than it would be the last venue we were at, San Francisco, where it's windy, swirly, weird kind of quirky angles.
Right.
This is just a lot of land to cover. And is it more the scouting, if you will, more the pre-pitch kind of placement?
Absolutely. You just got to stay on your toes as an outfielder. There's no relaxing. I always found that, you know, the best way to approach this ballpark is just act like every ball's coming at you. I mean, really sell it in your own mind, thinking, all right, I got to be ready to sprint, not just go catch a fly ball that's 5 feet to my left or to my right. Be ready to run into that gap, and you can sometimes cut some of those balls off. But again, you've got to be very, very aggressive. I mean, in the pursuit. At the same time, you've got to be smart.
John Gray, foul ball.
One thing you have to be very smart about is your reads. You almost saw Blackman get burned by it, and Brinson even as well. A lot of times line drives carry in a way that they don't carry at sea level. So you've got to make sure that you stay behind everything. And you heard Freddie talk about playing deeper to start. You know what I mean? That's like giving up that 3-yard run or 4-yard run. You know, we'll give you a little bit here. Bend, don't break.
Right.
Idea, kind of a defense.
Center field, Brinson freezes, moves over a couple of steps and makes the play. Rockies score 1-0. Miami Marlins, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Great shot there of downtown Denver. Beautiful weather. A night game today, 2 afternoon games here in Colorado before heading back to Marlins Park. It's been a lengthy road trip, but terrific scenery to wrap things up. Third stop on this tour. 81 degrees today. 10-mile-an-hour wind. Low humidity. I don't think that'll be the case when we get back to Miami, though.
Low humidity?
Might be a little higher than 25%. Roughly.
This time of year, yeah, I might, like, our skin is like all drying out
like
here.
14 times 25% humidity. Something like that. Wei-Yin Chen to lead things off. Derek Dietrich and Brian Anderson, 9-1-2 for the Marlins, down 1-0. After the RBI double by Tom Murphy in the bottom of the second. All right, so John Gray, let's try to unwrap this thing a little bit, because if you just look at the numbers, last 7 starts, he's 2-3 with an 8.13 ERA. Opponents are hitting .320 against him. 16 walks, not so bad. It's about 2-ish per start, and 51 strikeouts. He has now 5 tonight. So that's kind of the overview of his last 7 starts. But when you look at this year for John Gray, highest ERA among qualified pitchers, and last year when it was not. Why were you up all night last night trying to figure this guy out?
Well, I don't know if I was up all night, although I do admit to chasing a lot of these storylines along, that have followed John Gray. I think it's so intriguing that we watch, one of the game's bright young stars who's going through some serious struggles when it comes to his ERA and winning and losing here at altitude. You look at the strikeout total and you're like, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? His stuff plays. It's fastball velocities just like it was last year. His slider seems to be moving the same way. Curveball's been a good pitch for him. The one thing that really stands out to me is the big innings.
Dietrich, left field line, hit well, and that one is gone. A line drive home run to the opposite field for Derek Dietrich, and we're tied at 1.
We saw that coming. Line drive, 350 to left, right? Now listen, here's the deal. It's a well-struck baseball. It just happens to carry out, so it's a nice approach by Derek. Came into today with the best numbers against John Gray, 5 for 10. Did strike out his first time, but adds a home run to it, ties up this ball game. So, part of what I was getting to, Paul, was simply this, that when he has been pushed into some positions to make pitches, he's missed down the middle of the plate. Sometimes it's blown up on him. And I think that's a pretty clear example maybe right there, is that when you look at what Derek just did, jumped all over a 2-0 fastball, almost down the middle of the plate. Turns into an instant run.
A line drive home run number 9 for Derek Dietrich. We are even at 1 here in the 3rd. Yeah, you can get Dietrich to DC too. That's the hashtag. Log on to MLB.com. Cast your vote 5 times a day, 35 times.
Seventh home run by a left-handed batter this season against Gray.
The 0-2 now to Anderson. Tapped foul to stay alive. One more look at the home run via StatCast. 19-degree launch angle, a low line drive that goes 363, a little less than 102 off the bat. And if that ball is 3, 4, 5 feet to the left, it probably goes off that higher wall. Talking about the way that the walls kind of go up and down around the outfield. Dietrich hit it in the right spot, as did Anderson. No, a terrific play on both ends by Story, and the pick at first by Desmond. A nice play to take away a hit from Anderson.
Now, there are too many teams in baseball that can say from one shortstop to, well, a former shortstop, another shortstop. That's right, Ian Desmond, that's what he used to be. And boy, oh boy, you see a good athlete over at first base. Now, certainly you know how good Story is and how good the left side of the infield is for the Rockies. Does everything right there. Throw a little offline. Desmond able to pick him up. Beautiful play by the Rockies.
So 2 away now for JT Realmuto. Cut on and missed as Realmuto doubled in the first inning. It was left on base. Marlins have evened things up on the home run by Dietrich here in the 3rd. This might be another extra base hit for Realmuto, as this one is going to get all the way to the wall. Blackman spins and throws it in, and Realmuto with a couple of doubles in just the 3rd inning.
Hell, almost the same spot. Keeps adding to his all-star resume. JT off to a good start here in Denver. Front foot down, slider stayed up. Gets turned around again, about splitting those gaps. A place like this, boy oh boy, is it made for JT's offensive game. You know, part power, part athleticism, good hitter who can put the ball line to line. You come in hot, boy oh boy, you have a chance to really do some damage in a 3 or 4 game series here at Coors Field.
Ball one a little low to Justin Bohr, who struck out on the slider back in the 1st inning. One of 5 strikeouts today for John Gray.
Well, the Marlins 4 hits, 3 have gone for extra bases already here in the 3rd.
Back to the screen, ball and a strike. Night game tonight, 2 day games, including tomorrow, where Trevor Richards is on the mound. Tyler Anderson goes for the Rockies. If you'll recall, Anderson started a game in Miami, but left not long into it. Had some chest pains, a little bit of a heartbeat thing going on. He was checked out, and he was all fine and dandy afterwards, but he'll get the start tomorrow afternoon on the air at 2:30 with the Marlins Live pregame show, as the Rockies this year and this weekend specifically, also like the Marlins, celebrating 25 years of baseball. So some of the old, I mean, how many more reunions are you going to be a part of this year? Is there a reunion?
Well, I could be part of 8.
Cincinnati or Chicago or anywhere else? I mean, my goodness, everywhere we go. The Holly Tour.
That's a good thing and a bad thing, pal. My wife and I, we used to have this saying, everybody loves to trade for you, but nobody wants to keep you.
Well, she kept you, and that's all that matters.
It's true. Absolutely the truth. I'll tell you what. I've decided that Justin Bourne needs to get into one here at altitude. I really want to see this.
Okay.
Hopefully over the next 3 days. It's particularly, I'm thinking right center field. I'm thinking he can go upper deck, maybe 2 or 3 decks up. I'd like to see it. I was thinking back to the game that he had in Baltimore. My, oh my, how impressive that was.
Cut on and tipped into the glove of Murphy. Another strikeout. That's 6 for Gray, but the Marlins get it back on the line drive home run for Derek Dietrich, tied at 1 through 2.5. Hollinsworth and Jessica Blaylock here in Colorado, where the Rockies celebrating 25 years of baseball. Our Toyota Inside Look, they have that in common with the Marlins. What else do they have in common? Well, the Rockies have more regular season wins. Yes, however, the Marlins, of course, have the 2 World Series titles. 1 MVP on both sides, 6 no-hitters for the Marlins, 11 batting champions, however, should come as no surprise. One of them digs in here, G.J. LeMahieu, and 5 home run champs. But it's the Marlins leading the all-time series 107-94. In the dirt to LeMahieu. Top third of the order for the Rockies, LeMahieu, Blackman, and Arenado. As Chen, who gave up a run in the bottom of the second inning, got it back on the home run by Dietrich.
Would this surprise you? 8 cycles by Rockies players, 0 for the Marlins.
The 8 definitely doesn't.
Actually, I thought that number might be bigger.
You're right. Maybe this is the week. Maybe.
You know what I was
collide.
thinking? Well, JT kind of got me thinking there that JT might do it at Coors Field. How about that?
I did think that. I thought that had a chance to be a triple. He already had the double. This is a high chop to Rojas. Has to get rid of it quick, and does. Nice play at third as Rojas kind of handcuffed. All he can do is get rid of it quick. And then on the other side, the sun for Bohr at this time of night. It's a little rough.
It certainly is. It comes through, I think it's that just past the first deck, and then you've got that second deck. It actually comes back through. That's right. It'll come through all the cracks in the stadium. And at first base is very dangerous. Keep an eye out. Usually there's a message that's delivered right around this time to the pitchers. No pickoff throws to first base like really, really hard. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm dead serious, having spent a little bit of time over there. That, you know, Todd Helton used to say it all the time. Like, that's the worst time of day is right now with the pitcher and throwing over to first.
You know what you need to do on the next off day?
What do you got?
Because you'll have plenty of time. You won't want to be with your family or anything like that. You need to look and see at how many more stolen bases there have been this time of the day. In the history of Coors Field, it's only 25 years. It's less than that, really, as Blackman lines out to right field.
Do it one at a time. All right, here you go, Marlins fans. Now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Here is Nolan Arenado. Singled in the first inning to improve on his numbers in the last week or so. Last 7 games coming in. Hitting .414 with 9 extra base hits and 14 RBIs. He's on another one of those runs.
Yeah, good. Like I said, face him with nobody on base. Right?
And Chen is 2 for 2 in that category. However, 2-0 to Arenado. Big cut and miss all the way down to his knee. 2-1. Tied his season high with 5 RBIs yesterday against the New York Mets, and that one is past the diving JT Riddle. And into left field, Arenado's second base hit of the ball game. Well, the Marlins and Metro PCS will be hosting watch parties for the World Cup. You can join us for afternoon games throughout the month at the 5th base presented by Corona Light. The first 50 guests to visit the Metro PCS store at Marlins Park before kickoff will receive VIP access. Visit marlins.com/watch parties for a list of dates. There's Trevor Story. He popped up to Justin Bohr to end the first, and he takes a fastball in the inside corner. Off the inside corner, ball and no strikes. This one out to left center field. Brinson chasing after it, and he lunges to make the catch. A long run for Brinson to take away extra bases. And Dietrich waves for the training staff, or Brinson thinks he's okay. Looks like he's going to get up and head off the field, thankfully. But what a play. Definitely 2, maybe 3, if not for Brinson's catch to the 4th. Jen gets the benefit of some great defense in center field by Lewis Brinson as Starlin Castro offers at the first pitch. Lines that one into the about the suites in the third deck here. That one got up there in a hurry. 0-1 to Castro, who hit one hard out to center field, lining out to Charlie Blackmon to end the first inning. We'll take another look at that great play by Brinson in left center field. In just a moment. In fact, that moment has arrived. Here it is.
Yeah, you see right off the bat, Lewis Brinson gets a great jump. Got a few things going on here. Of course, there's 2 outs, so you want to lay out. You know that that ball's coming down. It's not going to get too far past you.
Castro, left field line, foul. A little bit foul. Slider.
But again, here's what you love. Great effort, great extensions, still a little bit above the ground. So again, you're comfortable laying out, able to reach out and make the catch. But the one thing that you know as a center fielder, watch Dietrich. You've got reinforcements. You see him peripherally, you know that he's there, you're willing to go the extra mile to make the catch, because if you don't, you're able to allow your second outfielder to get the baseball.
That was your Bonefish fresh catch of the day by Lewis Brinson. And John Gray, how about that strikeout rate? Has not been an issue for him at all today. That's 7. We're 1 out into the 4th. That slider has been working for him today.
4 strikeouts on the slider, 3 on the fastball. He's been changing it up and staying aggressive. One thing, as I mentioned, you know, his whip is actually somewhat respectable. I think when you consider, you know, this is Coors Field. He does pitch half of his games here. Coming into tonight's ball game, a whip of 1.48.
Well, that was the thing, and obviously you did a terrific job digging through all of this stuff. I don't know if we finished the point before,
right?
But what I think where you were going with it was it's like a little bit here, a little bit there,
right.
And it turns into a huge ERA.
Well, kind of what's complicated, and here's the thing, maybe the Rockies would be easier to answer. See a fly ball to left off the bat of Riddle. It's simply put, he's picking up the strikeouts because his stuff plays and he's very good. He's their ace. But at the same time, he's making mistakes out over the plate. One thing he's done this year is get more groundouts. His groundouts are up, but so is the batting average in balls in play by about 70 points, and the batting average against is up as well. So there's more traffic, and when there's more traffic, there's more potential for run. He's had the most traffic. He's top 5 in baseball. Excuse me, 6th. He's 6th in Major League Baseball. 42.6% of his base runners score. So we talk about that big inning.
To first base, and that one gets by Desmond, and Rojas thought about it but will stay put. Cargo's got a good arm. He got to it quick, and it's a 2-out base hit for Rojas.
Well, no surprise in that it's going to right field. So that's the damage that Rojas does. Generally going the other way, does once again.
Are you ready for storm season? We are. See how you can prepare at fpl.com/storm.
That is an amazing number, that 42, almost 43% of the base runners that John Gray has allowed have come around to score. That's fascinating.
Well, it is when you factor in that he's had, you know, what is it? He's 4th in baseball and with 13.56 runners per 9 innings. It tells you, I mean, there's been traffic out there, but he's also got the ability to strike a few guys out. Lefty's hitting 286, righty's hitting 282. Runners in scoring position, 247. See what I mean?
Yeah. I think you asked me the same question about 7 times. You run through his stats and you say, does that equal a 6 ERA? No. Does that equal?
Right. I mean, he's been such a tough one to figure out. And, you know, it's easy for me to say, well, it's Coors Field. Well, that's just to me, it's always, I mean, that's a cop-out answer. These guys have to pitch here. They have to survive. He had tremendous numbers here last year. So did this most of this Rockies staff.
One to Brinson upstairs.
One thing they know in this tough National League West is that if they don't pitch better than they've pitched, they're not going anywhere. Because that's the way that they're put together. They're a good offensive team, but it's not the Blake Street Bombers. That's not how they operate. They're a very good defensive team. 27 errors, 3rd fewest in Major League Baseball. Occasionally steal a base, but they're good on defense. They're good on offense. They're not great. Puts a lot of pressure on the pitching. It's got to be better.
They are right now a game under 500, 37-38 at the start of play. 4.5 games back at the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are 2 up on the Dodgers in the West.
But 14-20 at Coors Field.
Right. And they've won their last 3 here, taking 3 of 4 from the New York Mets, who are home for the aforementioned Dodgers tonight. Runner goes, swung on and missed. Another strikeout. Well, when you're trying to figure out what's going on with Jonathan, it's not just black and white. Holly, there's areas of gray. Is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic, stiff joints, aches and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by the Lincoln Spring Sales Event. Drive into spring in a new Lincoln. So much amazing, beautiful scenery here in Colorado as it's a 1-1 ball game heading to the last of the 4th inning. The Sulcers are here, ladies and gentlemen. Mom and Dad Sulcer.
That's right, pride of South Florida.
The great John Sulcer, our producer.
I like that hat.
Absolutely. Well, he knows a guy, that's why. Let me try that again. You ready? Take 2. This is for the re-airs, Holly. I guess they go on 1 trip a year. And this was the one that they chose. A beautiful off day yesterday. Yeah, it's traveling this area.
Good selection. Nice weather.
Terrific. This one is chopped to third, but off the foot of Ian Desmond. Home plate umpire Scott Berry kind of waved that one dead as Desmond didn't even leave the home plate area, so he must have known. It's Desmond, Murphy, and Carlos Gonzalez. So with so much time in between, I mean, we just came off a Giant series. We're not that far removed from a Padres series where it was guys having a start against one team and their next start or the next couple of starts was against a club. I mean, we're talking 2 months in between. Is there anything that can be gained by the Rockies against Chen in 2 months' time?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, for Chen, he's certainly going to remember how he got guys out, but you also have to factor how this ballpark plays. That's the smarter thing to do. And a lot of times you can take what you want from a scouting report and say, okay, maybe this is a side of the plate this guy is more vulnerable to, or maybe a quadrant in the strike zone, and think that, you know, maybe he's susceptible to chasing. But at the same time, you've got to be very, very careful, you know, where you pitch in the strike zone. Not too many guys can elevate unless you possess 95 and above, and even then it's a dangerous proposition. Because if anybody starts to level off, it's almost always a home run.
It's a line drive into center field. Brinson comes around it and throws into second base as Desmond thought about it. There's so much ground to cover out there, but he got it in quickly. And it's a leadoff base hit for Desmond here in the fourth. First of 3 tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, Trevor Richards gets the ball as Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson have the South Florida Honda Dealers Marlins live pregame show on the air at 2:30 tomorrow. First pitch a little after 3. A 25th reunion matchup as these two teams both celebrating 25 years. And a lot of former Rockies alums will be here as well. A pregame ceremony at Coors Field. Called strike to Tom Murphy, who had the RBI double back in the second. Two hits for Ian Desmond after he has walked a ton in the month of June, but he just continues to get on base at a just insane clip.
Maybe he's just now figuring it out. I think the Rockies have seen the power of Desmond. Clearly they've seen it this year, but it's been all or nothing. Starting to get on base a little bit more consistently. As good an athlete as he is, it's probably the best interest to do just that. You'd love to see a player like Desmond getting on at a 350 clip.
Ball and 2 strikes to Murphy. And Chen gets him to chase one low and in. And that is strikeout number 2 for Wei-Yin Chen. One away here in the fourth. It's a heck of a pitch. About got him in the shins.
Cargo, a strikeout victim his first time up. Chased a slider. The same spot as the last pitch.
So the ball flies at this ballpark. There's that. There's the acreage out in the outfield. There's that, but there's also the movement on the breaking balls. That's
right.
Another thing to keep an eye on here. As he's
well, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that there's very few guys who come in and say that, you know, all right, you know, like Chen's for example. I'll use this as an example. His last start did a fantastic job. I think the number was 47, but I do remember it was 50-50. It was right down the middle. I believe it was 47 fastballs, 47 secondary pitches, either the slider, the curveball, or the changeup. You come here, that number, that 47, probably can't be as high, number one. Number two, it needs to be more in line with the changeups. Because you throw slider after slider, I can promise you, you're going to eventually make a mistake with it. So there's definitely spots where you can use it, but you can't fall in love with it. And that's the lesson that I think most have learned. In fact, the Rockies tried for a period in their history to bring in guys who were pounding the low zone with fastballs and using splitties. That was part of that idea. And I'm not saying it's necessarily the one that works the most, but as we talked about at the Open, the Rockies have been still trying to figure it out for an awful long time. Still trying to figure it out this year.
Yeah. Right at about, for Chen now, right at about 54% on the fastball tonight, 25 on the slider, 15 of the changeup, and 6% of the curveball. Or will he go on 2-1? Well, Cargo's going to go down the left field line. Dietrich gets to it, throws to third, throws a little late, throw to second, also late. It gets away from Castro, who corrals it, throws home, and Desmond's in to score. And now Miguel Rojas is trying to plead his case with the second base umpire and crew chief, Jeff Nelson. I am assuming that Gonzalez interfered with Castro in some way.
Yeah, there's definitely contact at second base. We saw the Rockies being about as aggressive as they possibly can be. You watch this slow roller kind of leak down the third base line. There's no defending that. Dietrich doing everything in his power to get to it. Desmond, he's on his way to third base. Cargo on his way to second base. Talk about that aggressiveness. He runs in to Starlin Castro at second base. He does not slide. So watch Starlin.
Well, I don't know how Venezuela is doing in the World Cup, but Cargo's in the soccer spirit, it looks like. I don't know if that was just his momentum with the foot.
Is that illegal?
Not in soccer.
It is illegal in soccer, I believe.
To kick the football, that's the whole point.
I think well, you can't kick the other guy. That's what I'm getting at. It kind of looked like he was a combination of trying to get out of the way of Starlin Castro and get that leg out of the way.
Well, nevertheless, as this one goes off the glove of Castro up the middle. I don't know if it got a piece of Chen's glove on the mound or not, but Castro kept it on the infield for all intents and purposes, and Cuevas is on at first base.
Well, it did, and it did. You're absolutely right. It certainly did hit off Chen's glove. Starlin Castro would have had a difficult time making this play regardless. But it keeps Cargo at third base.
So just to go back a second, Cargo gets a double, and the error on Rojas means no RBI. But nevertheless, it is a 2-1 Rockies lead as Gray squares the bunt. Runners on the corners, one away and one in for Colorado here in this fourth inning. Gray squares again, bunts right side. Bohr comes home and safe.
I'll tell you what, Colorado Rockies are executing base running at altitude flawlessly through 4 innings here tonight. John Gray deliberately getting this ball down with some effort, trying to push it up that first baseline. It gives Cargo a read. It's not a hard play. He sees that ball down, he goes. He doesn't, he stays. Watch Cargo reading it. Once he sees the ball down, he's coming 100 miles an hour. Requires a perfect throw, and it was a pretty good run by JB, but Cargo able to slide in just past the tag.
Well, 2 runs home in the inning for the Rockies. And not done yet with LeMahieu in the top of the lineup up right now. But Chen is a ground ball away from getting out of this inning and limiting the damage.
And that's certainly what you'd like to see, because you feel like his fate should be better this inning. The Desmond base hit's your hardest hit ball in the inning.
Gray gets credit for the RBI as LeMahieu fouls it right back to the screen. LeMahieu walked in the first inning, was erased on a double play ball, and grounded out to Rojas at third in the third. Inside, and that one kicks away from Real Muto. Goes off the brick wall behind home plate, gets back to him quickly, but not quickly enough. As Cuevas moves to third and Gray to second on the wild pitch.
Let's see the inside part of the plate. Really no shot once it gets past JT and on its way to the backstop.
A troublesome inning here for Chen.
Chen's going to have to find a way to make a pitch. Marlins playing it in on the corners.
1-1, line out to center field. Brinson has a good arm. He throws to third, though. Cuevas will come in to score, and it's 4-1 Colorado. World Cup action continues tomorrow on Fox. It all kicks off when Belgium squares off with Tunisia at 7 a.m. Eastern. Then it's Korea and Mexico, followed by Germany and Sweden. It's soccer all day tomorrow on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. A 3-run inning here for the Rockies. And still not out of the woods is Charlie Blackmon. Digs in, 0 for 2. Double play ball and a line out. And 0-1.
Well, the Marlins did a very good job against Blackmon in Miami. 2 for 13 in that series. Did have a home run. Interestingly enough, 11 of his 14 home runs this season have come on the road. He's hit higher at home. He's hit for more power on the road. 324 versus lefties this year.
Well, the home road splits are always a topic of conversation, especially with a guy like Blackmon. You look at his overall numbers the last few years and you think, well, this guy could easily be an MVP candidate. And then you start divvying up the home road splits, and that's where the case is maybe made for some others to win the award. But that's kind of been the issue for a lot of Colorado Rockies through time.
Yeah, it is, you know, but it's not their fault, and that's the one thing that I would say. I mean, listen, you know, pitchers get to pitch in pitchers' parks, and some hitters get to hit in hitters' parks. It is what it is. You know, when it comes to that, you know, I used to lobby for Larry Walker in the Hall of Fame all the time. I mean, this is speaking from somebody who had the privilege of playing next to him. He was one of the greatest players that I ever played with. The guy knew the game as well as anybody, and he was the greatest athlete, at least in my personal opinion, of our generation. That's throwing in a lot of people. Had the best arm, had the best instincts. He was 6'5". I mean, he could do anything on a baseball field he wanted to. He was a Colorado Rocky, and first thing you hear is, well, what did he hit on the road, right? Of course, you're going to have better numbers here at Coors Field. You play here long enough, it's going to happen. I don't think there's anybody immune to that. The argument that you have is that what is good enough on the road to say, okay, I can see past what you're saying, and we need to put an offensive player from Coors Field in the Hall of Fame.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Blackmon. Left field line and slicing into the seats. Shirt there, got whiffed on it. Got one right off the melon. Maybe not a Hawaiian shirt, a Rocky Mountain shirt. Either way, that guy. But still a better fate than that fan in Minnesota the other day. Did you see that?
I did not.
First rail, you know, foul ball down the left field line. This guy, great effort, just tumbles right out onto the field.
Is he okay?
Beverage goes flying, so that's $30 out the window. You know?
Sure. You just kind of anticipate when somebody stands up and goes out of the way to make a catch that they're not going to completely whiff on it.
True. Well, at least nobody saw it. Might get another chance right here, though.
Tell you what, this is about 4 identical foul balls and swings from Charlie Blackman. I mean, this is like mano-a-mano here. Chen not wanting to give in, really working away, mixing in some secondary pitches, particularly that slider. 8 pitches this at bat. He doesn't want to give in, and Blackman's giving him that same I'm going to foul it off type swing every time. 29 pitches here in the 4th.
This number 30. And a little looper over the head of Riddle. Gray's going to score on the RBI by Blackman. And the Rockies have put 4 runs on the board in the 4th and lead it 5-1.
I think the right word is small ball, and it's working. As I said, hardest hit ball this inning, the Ian Desmond single to lead off the 4th inning. Gonzalez's double nearly stopped behind third base, barely making its way into left field. Cuevas infield single. You had a couple of sacrifices that led you to the Blackman single as well. Yeah, it all adds up.
Well, here's what we know. 5-1 in the 4th inning, but a game is never over at this ballpark.
It's absolutely the truth.
Especially not with the guy on the mound on the other side for the Rockies that has the highest ERA in baseball. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot shows you that the Rockies have been starting to hit in the last 10 days. Hitting at 288, but then again, look at the Marlins up at 262.
It's really marked improvement. In fact, I'll add on to that, if I may. Go all the way back to April. The Marlins were hitting 228 as a team, and we were having lots of conversation about Marlins' ways of winning, and generally we were speaking about low-scoring games. Move on to May, it's up to 239. Here in June, 248. This team is getting better offensively.
Nolan Arenado puts a charge into this one. A long way back in left field. And he has homered in 4 straight games. That's number 17. It's 7-1.
I believe that is a personal high, homering in 4 consecutive ball games. And he threw out all the numbers against the lefties, the numbers over the last 7 games. He's 3 for 3 tonight, Paul, and he has been on everything. Well, here's a classic example of a ball up in the zone, and when it's at the belt, that's what happens. Look at the extension. Eyes down the barrel, the finish staying on that backside. This is a long, long home run. Dietrich kind of tells you how long it is when you see his reaction.
Rockies leading baseball with now 12 innings of 5 or more runs scored. They have 6 here in the 4th. We talked earlier about how John Gray was cruising in his last start through the first 5 innings. I don't know if cruising is the verb you'd use for Wei-Yin Chen, but this inning has been a lot different from his first 3. Five hits and 6 runs have scored.
Well, it's a pretty good example of what can happen. I mentioned the type of contact that you've seen this inning. You pair that with the fact that Chen is now inching his way towards 40 pitches. It's about wearing a pitcher down. They wore him down small ball in it, if you will, until you start to see the mistake, and the mistake happens, it's up in the zone, and then you pay for that mistake too. That's what Coors Field will do to you if you're ready to take advantage of it.
Body punches, baby.
Absolutely. Well, it's the small ones, and next thing you know, you get that knockout when you get a guy on the mound who's now making, his 36th pitch in an inning.
Story fights another one off. The inning started with an Ian Desmond base hit. And a strikeout, double, single, sacrifice / fielder's choice. sac fly, single, home run, and strikeout. 6 runs for the Rockies, and they lead it 7-1. Won the score. Some roster news for the Marlins today. 10-day disabled list for Jose Urania, a right shoulder impingement. He said after his start a couple of days ago in San Francisco, felt something in his arm, so he's currently on a no-throw rehab, exercise only. Don Manfred said before the game that he'll throw when we get back to Miami on Monday, and Nick Whitgren recalled off the disabled list, that is, and he is up in the Marlins pen as Yadiel Rivera grounds one to Desmond at first, and that officially puts an end to Chen's day. There's Whitgren out in the right center field bullpen for Miami. Final line for Chen: 4 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. 74 pitches, 49 were strikes, and again, to say that he was cruising through the first 3 innings, again, not the most perfect verb, but boy, oh boy, was that 4th inning different.
Well, we see the score at 7-1 here, top 5. One thing that stands out to me, Chen, leadoff runner on 3 or 4 innings. Gray now here in the 5th, leadoff runner on nada, 0 for 5. In fact, 4 strikeouts. He struck the leadoff batter out in the first 4 innings.
He has 8 strikeouts.
Well, in some regards, you know, you're setting the tone. I mean, you look at the run that he gave up. Obviously, it was a home run to Dietrich, but again, there's not really been a whole sense of, you know, here come the Marlins, you know, hit after hit, other than right at the beginning of the game. They had Anderson and Real Muto on with 1 out. The ability to get those next 2 outs and get out of that first inning probably filled Gray with a ton of confidence.
I think you'll take those numbers if you're Derek Dietrich. A home run earlier, counting for the only Marlins run today. This one is line foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The home run, a low liner to the opposite field, just to the right of that higher part of the wall, down the line and left. We see that a lot. I mentioned it earlier, that kind of modified stretch delivery. We see that with a lot of guys nowadays. We've heard, you know, pitchers say, well, it kind of helps you minimize movement, help to repeat the delivery. Just that one little step. Is that sometimes enough for a pitcher or for a hitter? I know sometimes a hitter gets his timing off the delivery.
Yeah, listen, guys who hide the ball well, they're the hardest. Right? It's simple. So, I mean, you talk about shoulder turns. Guys, I mean, listen, you can go short, you can go long. After about at bat, most guys will tell you they got a pretty good feeling.
Dietrich certainly does. A base hit, his second of the day. As we go back in time, June 17, 2016, Geico presents this day in Marlins history. Adam Conley up with the club now. Pitching out of the bullpen, but against these Rockies in June of 2016, held them hitless for 5 2/3. He and 4 relievers, providing on the 16th one-hitter to go along with 6 no-hitters, which is 5 more than the Rockies have in their 25 years of history. Conley again now out of the bullpen had been so good, really settling into a nice little niche for Don Mattingly out of the pen. Chop left side, Story, the jump throw to second base, got him.
Well, I'll tell you what. Again, another special play by this defense. 3 steps into the hole, playing a double play depth. I'll tell you, the big second baseman in DJ LeMahieu, he's 6'5". That's not traditional. He's one of your biggest second basemen in all of baseball, and that right there helped him make that play. Story throw just a little bit offline, but DJ using every inch of his frame in order to get that out at second base.
Well, that is the second time that Story has taken away a hit from Brian Anderson, who did single in the first inning to extend his hit streak, or his on-base streak rather, to 19 straight games. As JT Realmuto takes upstairs. JT with a pair of doubles tonight. As that average up to 304, 9 homers, 27 RBIs. You look up and down the leaderboards among catchers, and he is right there at or near the top in most, if not all, offensive categories. This one is skied right side. Long run in for Cargo. Desmond with his back to home plate. That one will fall in. And that is a foul ball.
Not a tremendous amount of foul territory here. Desmond a long way to go down the line. Kind of stopped a little short of that. Cargo really no shot.
And another base hit for Realmuto. That is a 3-hit night for JT. See if the Marlins can put together a 2-out rally against Gray and the Rockies.
Yeah, there's the common denominator with all of his hits. They've all gone to the middle of the field. The biggest part of the outfield and the approach. You see JT really trying to stay inside the baseball tonight. Watch. It's a ball that he could easily gone around.
Yeah, that's what the rest of the league is saying. Well, 8 2-hit games this year for JT Realmuto and 8 3-hit games. He's got time to get his first 4-hit game of the year.
Another opportunity for Justin Bour. First opportunity came in the first, had runners on second and third, went down to strikes. Chance here in the fifth. Get this Marlins team back in it.
He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts, and he's down in the count 0 2 right now. But if you look at guys with the highest percentage of hits with 2 strikes this season, Justin Bour is second to Scott Kingery of the Phillies. 51.7 of his hits, 51.7% of his hits have come with 2 strikes. And if he can come through here, the Marlins, you'd figure with 2 outs and Anderson running on contact, would get a little closer. The 0-2 pitch to Bohr. Swung on and missed, strike 3. That is 9 strikeouts for Gray. 7-1 through 4.5. Here at Coors Field, it's a 7-1 lead for the Rockies. Wei-Yin Chen done. Nick Whitgren is in, activated off the disabled list today. The corresponding move there, of course, is Jose Urania, 10-day disabled list with a shoulder impingement. Nick Whitgren, before going on the DL in Arizona on June 2nd, had been pitching extremely well out of the bullpen for the Miami Marlins. It was a comebacker, kind of a chopper up the middle, reached his hand up just out of reaction, natural instinct, and went off his finger, and now he is back after a couple of weeks.
Well, Nick was throwing the ball very, very well for his last 3 outings, and that injury you just mentioned. Did not give up an earned run to start the season in his first 12 games. Did give up some damage over his last 3. Lefty sitting 182, righties 257.
His first pitch to Ian Desmond gets the black, and it's 0-1. Desmond, Tom Murphy, and Carlos Gonzalez here in the 5th inning. Rockies scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 4th. On 5 hits against Wei-Yin Chen. And 0-2 goes right back to that same spot against Desmond.
And part of that improved numbers that we showed you with the batting average, the Colorado Rockies, is that Desmond is starting to pick it up here at altitude. For tonight's ball game, over his last 23 games, he came in with a .430 on base percentage. And he's got some crazy reverse splits. 618 OPS here at Coors Field. He was hitting 181 coming into tonight's ball game. Now, of course, he's quite productive tonight. 807 on the road with 11 of his 15 homers.
Shoots that one foul into the netting above the Rockies dugout. Well, in his last 8 plate appearances coming into tonight, 6 of them were walks. And the walk rate in the month of June has been
shocking.
Incredible.
Well, anybody who knows Desmond's career, he's a very aggressive ball player. We've seen it on the bases already tonight. Likes to swing the bat, likes to put the bat on the ball. With that comes the streakiness that generally is associated with his game. But you're right, he's been patient, oddly enough, over the last week or so.
Yeah. Few days of March and April, 4.6% walk rate. May, 5.9% walk rate. And June, 18.7. That one misses low, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, I will say this, and it's happened a few times in his career, is that when he gets like that, watch out, because it's a run that's usually going to last a little while.
2 from Whitgren, where he started this at bat. He's trying to get to that outside corner. That one misses a little away, and the count runs full. Payoff pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3.
Messing around for Whitgren. He ramped it up and went right at him. Just split the plate at the knees. Enough to put Desmond away.
First time they've retired Desmond tonight. So 2 for 3. And they'll bring up Tom Murphy, who struck out in his last plate appearance. Also had an RBI double back in the 2nd inning. And he takes a called strike. The Phillies, as I look at the out-of-town scoreboard here, are all over the Washington Nationals tonight, 12-2. Phillies have been playing some terrific baseball as of late. These 2 teams playing 7 times in the next 10 days. Phillies won 7 of 10. The Nationals have lost 7 of 10. Of course, everybody's looking up at the Atlanta Braves in the National League East. 3 clear of Washington, but if that score holds, and I tend to agree or tend to think that it would, then the Phillies would leapfrog the Nationals into 2nd place in the East.
Well, it's shaping up to be an interesting season in the National League all the way through. You look at what's going on in the Central right now. Obviously, you see the standings there in the East. From out west, you see much more of the same.
Are the Marlins and Phillies in the same division? I feel like we haven't seen them in forever.
Well,
not since the end of April, right?
Well, young man, yes. In fact, we're going to see an awful lot of them in the second half.
All right, so it all evens out.
That's right.
Gotcha.
There's your Central. Yeah, Brewers have reclaimed the top spot. They've been playing some pretty good baseball of late. But again, you look at the teams that are behind them. I mean, it's screaming competition and screaming great races in the second half.
West is kind of wide open too.
Yep.
In fact, this is the last road trip to face a National League West team for the Marlins this year. We'll have the Diamondbacks, and I believe that wraps up everybody, right?
Yep, we've paid our dues.
That's right. Logged a lot of miles. That's 2 strikeouts for Nick Whitgren. They're 2 away here in the 5th. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. John Silviano of the Jupiter Hammerheads. 65 games so far, a 12th round pick of the Blue Jays back in 2012. I don't know where Hypoluxo, Florida is, do you?
Do not.
Have to look that one up. Oh, it's in Palm Beach. So not far from Jupiter. Interesting. There's Carlos Gonzalez. This one into the seats. Jupiter is at 41 and 29 at the start of the day. Silviano is 12th homer of the season, 4 for 8 over his last couple of games. home run, a triple. Playing good at high A. Outside to Gonzalez, who struck out in the second inning and doubled and scored in the fourth. And that's past the dive of Castro into right center field. A base hit for Gonzalez, his second hit of the night. So speaking of a lot of miles, so at the end of this road trip, which finishes Sunday afternoon, the Marlins will have played 55.1% of their games on the road. 43 of the 78 games played will have been road games. Third most in the major leagues. Only the Tampa Bay Rays and Baltimore Orioles a higher percentage of road games this year. And the amount of miles that we will be up to as a traveling party, 22,063. Only Boston and Seattle will have traveled more.
You know, that's one of those statements where I know, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
You'll feel it at the All-Star break.
Oh, I know.
Right?
I know what you're talking about. I mean, you can give, you know, you can give numbers to it all you want.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
But then after this, I don't believe we leave the eastern, not the eastern seaboard. I think there's a trip to Pittsburgh mixed in, but the time zone. Yeah.
It's late June, and we haven't played the Nats in D.C. yet.
That's right. 3 different 3-city road trips. All of them have included a California club.
It's been a peculiar year with the way our schedule has been put together.
Cuevas, fly ball, right field, Anderson. And that one into the first row. So we have 4 3-city road trips this year, by my count. Apparently the San Francisco Giants have 5 3-city road trips.
So you're saying they've got it worse than we do?
I guess. I guess so.
I mean, I'm worried.
But every homestand for them goes to
I'm worried
California.
about walking in the door on Sunday night and my family yelling intruder.
Yeah. Yeah. The end of May and most of June has been in the road grays. Cuevas out to center field. Brinson ranges back to make the catch. A couple of strikeouts in the inning for Whitgren. We check in with the studio after the break. comedy act. All we need to do is get some laughs along the way. This is a beautiful ballpark. You called it home for a few years. They've got the waterfall out there. They've got the trees. They've got a little bit of ivy up there on the batter's eye.
Since you've been here, and I believe this is your first time kind of like here, right?
Yes, right? That's right. Just Instagram it. This puts a cap on NL ballparks for me, all 15.
Right. So when I told you that this is the third oldest ballpark in the National League, you kind of had a stunned look on your face.
I did.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It is. There have just been so many. I mean, the Braves get one every 5 years. Here's Trevor Story in the hole, and it's going to be, I think, a base hit for Castro. An infield knock to lead off the 6th. Well, Story and his defense have been on display tonight, but that one a little bit too tough.
Well, I'll tell you what, the left side of this defense for the Colorado Rockies is gracious. They should be doing vacuum commercials like Hoover. Look at the world. I mean, Starlin's hustling down the line, and I'll tell you what, Desmond picks this at first base. I bet he gets him. Unbelievable. There you go, 99 fielding percentage. And that doesn't really even take into consideration the number of balls they get to. That's, you know, also factoring in the athleticism. A lot of times we show you numbers like that, and we'll show you, you know, a slow infield.
Right.
We've seen range factor, we've seen arm strength, versatility, and athleticism all tonight. Enough already.
JT Riddle takes outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Yeah, so third oldest in the National League. So you got Wrigley, you got Dodger Stadium,
you got Coors Field,
and you got Coors Field.
Feels like it fits. I think that shocks people, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, I joke, but in '93, the Braves would have been at Fulton County Stadium. '97, right? They opened up Turner Field, and they're already in a new ballpark, SunTrust, which is terrific. Of course, the Marlins broke in with the Rockies, but they've had a couple of ballparks along the way. Phillies, a new ballpark within the last 10, 15 years.
But nothing about, and again, this is a credit. This is a credit to not only the grounds crew, but, you know, the Rockies organization. Nothing about this ballpark feels like it's been left in the past. From the rooftop deck out in right field, all the way around to the trees in center field, everything has grown, it's blossomed, it's better. Now, the one thing that I will argue with, and it has nothing to do with Coors Field, is over the left field wall, we used to have this incredibly beautiful view of the Rocky Mountains. Now we get apartments. That's it. That's all I've got to complain about. Other than that, it's pretty special. Well, now if you get up to the rooftop, you can see over us. There you go. We don't have that view. There's the Rocky Mountains for you, and as a player, you could see that from the field before those apartments. You see those apartments laying low right there. Those are brand new, last couple of years. They didn't used to be here. Now they are.
Thought the Rockies would be a little rockier.
Yeah, well, it's well said.
That'll be the name of our traveling road show, Dumb and Dumber.
Hasn't been used yet.
Rojas takes a look at ball 1. Well, that's 10 strikeouts today for John Gray. So we talked about the strikeouts kind of being his calling card this year, despite the fact that the ERA was the highest in baseball. But that has not been an issue for him tonight or all year long. He's been racking them up.
Yeah, it really just comes into that hit factor, and I think that's just it. See Murphy making his way out to talk to Gray. He struck out Riddle, but he has been falling behind a little bit here. Pitch count up into the 80s.
Tayron Guerrero up.
This is kind of an interesting, I mean, you see the score 7-1. Of course, a lot of baseball to be played here tonight. Point being, and you almost think that manager Bud Black would be inclined to get John out with a great start, you know, as he's kind of creeping towards that 6th inning. But there's got to be some element of hesitation to jumping into that Rockies bullpen right now.
Well, one would think that that concern is twofold. One, the bullpen has not been great this year for the Rockies. And two, the Marlins will play 3 games here.
Right.
Rockies play 81. So one of the reasons why the Rockies currently have a 3-man bench is to have an extra arm in their bullpen. And the guy they sent out was the guy who had a pinch hit home run the other day, Ryan McMahon. But this is a bullpen that has struggled. They've got a lot of money invested.
And this isn't us piling on over the course of the season and throwing numbers at you. I mean, they won 3 of 4 against the Mets. They had an 8.36 ERA in that series. They allowed 9 of the 22 inherited runners to score in the series that they just played, in which they won 3 of 4. And then you see this here. I mean, it's a developing trend. They have struggled all season long. Beg my pardon. Adam Ottavino is the one guy that I will leave alone. He has been stellar.
Yep. Very much agreed. That is 11 for John Gray. Time now for our Toyota trend. How about this? The fewest starting pitchers this season for the Colorado Rockies and the Houston Astros. 5 each. Major League average is just about 8.5. So for as much as we talk about, boy, oh boy, Colorado wears on your pitching, playing here in Denver, it wears on your pitching staff. We're halfway through the season. But the last couple of years, they have not used a lot of starting pitchers.
Well, for Gray, 10th career game with 10+ strikeouts, 4th this season, 2nd in his last 3 starts.
Ball and a strike to Lewis Brinson, who is 0 for 2 tonight. See JB Shuck on deck. We saw Guerrero up, so you figure it'll just be the 1 inning for Whitgren. 1 inning in which he registered a couple of strikeouts.
Good to have Nick back in the fold in that bullpen. It's really starting to come together. Marlins bullpen has pitched very well over the last 2 weeks plus. Jeff Nelson did a nice piece on Brad Ziegler during the pregame show today. I found that incredibly interesting, learning about how Zig is, obviously found his success here over this last handful of starts. Whitgren had tremendous success as well. Obviously Bearclaw and Steckenrider have been on fire.
That's a dozen for John Gray. We are through 5.5. Rockies in control at Coors Field.
We head to the bottom of the 6th. Well, yesterday news broke that both Don Mattingly and Dan Straley would both receive suspensions that is following that series finale against the Giants in San Francisco. Earlier today, Mattingly addressed that news.
I think we let the process play out. It doesn't do any good to talk about it. You know, you express myself with the league, and I think Mike has too, with what we think went on and how it was handled. But other than that, I don't have anything to say about it. It doesn't do any good. Let the process play out, and we'll move on.
As far as the Giants go, no suspensions have been handed out. Guys.
Well, Jessica, thanks so much. Yeah, so Dan Straley is appealing his suspension. Whenever he serves whatever he will serve, Don Mattingly will serve his 1 game with Dan. As Teheran Guerrero takes over, 3rd pitcher of this evening for the Marlins in his 36th game this year. He'll face John Gray, DJ LeMahieu, and Charlie Blackmon. As Gray fouls that one off himself, 99 miles an hour inside corner. He'll live to tell about it. 0-2.
Guerrero's been much better over his last couple of outings. See the mix kind of reappear. Kind of went through that phase where we saw nothing but the fastball as he was working on finding his fastball command. And that slider is a big part of his arsenal. He's got to be able to use it.
We heard Jess talk about and talk to Don Mattingly before the game about the whole suspension thing. Now that we've had a few days to kind of settle down after what was an emotional 3 days in San Francisco, as Guerrero gets the strikeout of Gray. What do you make of all that kind of came down, or what is still waiting to be done with Straley, who's appealing his 5-game suspension?
I mean, again, listen, I'll leave it at this. I'm not shocked at the Marlins side of it, and I don't think anybody should be. I mean, especially when we know the circumstances in the game, we know how the warnings were issued and everything else. We're just, playing by the rules right now. I guess my point is, when you hear about it, my next follow-up question would be, what about the Giants? And I think that's kind of where I leave it. I mean, I'm not one for digging this all back up again, but that's the one thing that, in my mind, I'm still kind of processing. Are we telling ourselves that Rodriguez didn't do what he did on purpose? Is that what, I mean, did he not hit Brinson on purpose? Is that where we're at, especially with the warnings coming right after it?
Right.
I mean, are you kidding me? So that's where I get a little worked up about it, but we'll move on because we're in Colorado now, so.
All right. Popped up center field, and who's going to get it? It's Castro.
Are you ready for storm season? We are. See how you can prepare at fpl.com/storm.
Castro ranging way out to center field to make the play, and there are 2 outs for Guerrero here in the 6th. Charlie Blackmon is 1 for 3 tonight. Grounded into a double play in the 1st, lined out to right field in the 3rd. Singleman scored in the 4th.
Well, today is almost right. I mean, we did start at 6:40, and I think wasn't yesterday the longest day of the year?
It was. That's right.
I mean, we're only off a minute today.
It's true. Now the days just get shorter from here on out.
Right, sun's still up.
Kind of sad, isn't it?
Look to the west, you still see the sun.
How about the sunsets out here, right?
Normally they're pretty good, but all I see is apartment buildings.
You know where you need to go to see it? Up to the like the 6th row from the top, where there's that purple row here.
That's right, Mile High.
A Mile High row, or rows, or whatever you want to call it.
Just one.
Just the one row? Okay, I can't quite tell. There you go. You see that? Those 3 seats there. That's the purple row.
It goes all the way around.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that those 3 seats are the purple ones that show the Mile High row. As Blackmon into the right field corner. That one hugs the wall. Didn't come back out to Anderson, and it's a 2-out double for Blackmon.
The right field corner, a little bit different than the left. The left is more traditional. You've got the straight line, so that ball's almost always going to come back towards the infield. In the right field corner, you've got the potential for that little roll-around effect. Think Dodger Stadium. Watch as he kind of hits up against the wall and kind of jets to the right. He'll hug that wall for a little bit. No problem for Brian Anderson because he's got one of the strongest arms in all of baseball in right field.
A 2-out, 2-base hit for Blackman, and that'll bring up Nolan Arenado, who had himself a 2-run home run back in the 4th inning. Strike one.
That's a pretty good example of the slider usage that I was referring to at the beginning of this inning. He punched Gray out on that slider and able to get ahead of Arenado with it. Tell you what, Guerrero can continue to use that pitch and throw it for strikes. It is only going to help him.
One to Arenado. Outside of the 2-run home run, also has a couple of singles tonight. His batting average is currently at .325. Watching the Rockies-Mets game yesterday on the day off, because that's the kind of loser I am. So that's what I was doing. And they actually, the teammates of Nolan Arenado, what they do is they all do a bunch of Arenado impressions of how kind of quirky he is at the plate. Now, you can only make fun of a guy who's hitting .325 so much, because whatever he's doing is working. But they all do. He's got a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, they all work.
Yeah.
And if I was a kid at home, I'd be doing the exact same thing. If that's where you're going with it. I mean, that's where I would be. I'd be
leans back, he leans forward.
Well,
he
does.
The
He got
air.
a little right, but you know
all.
what? There's a readiness in watching him set up that I think is pretty impressive. And there's no doubt he's one of the best hitters in the game. Hits on the road, hits at home. One of the best third basemen all the way around. He's a complete player. But you're right. He's definitely, he's got a little twitchiness to him.
He does.
Watch him set up, and he kind of. There's not a rhythm. It's kind of like a nervous energy almost playing out.
And they were saying that no matter where he is, he's always got a bat in his hand. He's always swinging a bat. Here is Story out at first base. A nice running play by JT Riddle. Charging that one. And it's 7-1 through 6.
nobody in my way. We the best. We just getting started. Another one. We just getting started. Let's win. We just getting started. Looking in my rear view, ain't nobody in my way. Hands up. Let's go.
Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you here at Coors Field. A 7-1 Rockies lead as we head to the top of the 7th inning. John Gray, 12 strikeouts, a new season high. His career high 16 on September 17th, 2016 against the San Diego Padres. But he has had the slider working today as J.B. Shuck will lead things off in the number 9 spot. 9-1-2 for the Marlins. Swings at the first pitch. And Story with the strong throw. Gets the speedy Shuck by a step. And there is one away.
Gray sitting at 94 pitches, definitely has a shot at getting through 7 innings. He's been efficient, he's been effective. One thing that really stands out over his early season is the whip. You know, the walks and hits per innings pitched. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier in the ball game, and in obviously the bloated ERA. When it's that high, typically we're talking about somebody who's got a whip of 1.8, 1.9, a lot of traffic, a lot of runners. Generally speaking, he has kept the walks in check all season long.
Dietrich has accounted for the Marlins' lone run tonight with a solo home run the opposite way in the 3rd inning. His 9th home run and 26th RBI of the season. This one out to left center field. It will be the left fielder Cuevas to make the play, and there are 2 away.
Show off your Venezuelan pride on Saturday, June 30th, as the Marlins take on the Mets, which is a ticket package to receive an exclusive Venezuelan heritage jersey. Visit marlins.com/themes to get your tickets today.
Right here. This is what it's going to look like when you get to the ballpark. You got your Venezuelan flag right there on the arm sleeve. Miami across the chest.
Well done.
There's a lot to like.
Hold that up. Here, hold that up.
There's nothing on the back.
There, nothing on the back?
Nope.
Hold it up, right about there.
Right. Is that? How's that? Does that look good? You guys like that?
It's a pretty good looking jersey.
Yeah.
Hold it. No, I'm just kidding. You can put it down. Come on.
We talked about my blue eyes already enough this year. 1, 2, 3, 7. Stretch time here in Colorado. inning. 8 hits tonight for the Marlins, but they haven't been able to do much against John Gray, who has been absolutely superb with a dozen strikeouts through 7 innings of work. Eliezer Hernandez is in now for the Marlins, their 4th pitcher of the game. It all started with Wei-Yin Chen, 4 innings of work for him, then an inning from Whitgren, an inning from Guerrero, and now Hernandez. They'll face Ian Desmond, Tom Murphy, and Carlos Gonzalez here in the last of the 7th. Desmond takes a big swing at an off-speed pitch, and it's 0-1. Desmond, a couple of singles and a couple of runs scored in his first 2 trips, and was struck out by Whitgren in the 5th. Off the inside edge, a ball and a strike. Buddy Black talking with John Gray, seeing what's left in the tank for the young man. He's at 99 pitches, 69 for strikes.
Well, Gray has gotten better as this game has gone on. I'm sure part of that, the 7-1 lead. He's gotten more aggressive. Obviously, the quick 7th inning.
Desmond didn't bite, 3-1. Yancy Almonte made his major league debut yesterday, number 9 prospect in the Rockies system, as Desmond swings and misses, count runs full. So getting some handshakes, that might be it for Gray. Patting himself on the back after tonight's outing as Desmond takes ball 4. So have you, we talked about it before, for those that missed it, about the enigma that is John Gray, trying to figure out what has led to the ERA that's right around 6. And tonight, he goes, assuming he is done right now, and it's not official just yet, but no. 7 innings, 8 hits, and 12 strikeouts, no walks.
Yeah, so far from what we've seen tonight, and I think it maybe comes down to this. This
is a drive out to left center field by Murphy. Way back, and that one is going to bounce off the wall. Brinson gets it in. Stu Cole will hold Desmond at 3rd, and a long double for Murphy. That one hopped the wall in left center field, a long way out there.
It's about as far as you can hit a baseball at Coors Field and not have it be a home run. Dietrich tracing it into the corner, tries to gather himself and make a catch, comes up just a bit short. Good job to have Brinson there as well to get the ball back in. The Rockies are in business once again here. Bottom 7, nobody out, runners on 2nd and 3rd. I mentioned Murphy, 2nd double tonight.
They walk Cargo to get to Cuevas, and the bases are loaded, nobody out.
Yeah, just to wrap up on Gray. The strikeouts didn't surprise me. He'd come in hot, 19 over his last 2 starts. There was a couple opportunities where, again, we kind of recognized the potential for a big inning, and the Marlins didn't capitalize on that. It's as simple as that. I think those are the couple of spots where he probably is imploded a few times this year.
Marlins play the infield in as Cuevas fouls that one back into the 2nd deck. Cuevas 1 for 3, singled and scored in that 6-run 4th inning. The native of Monteverde, Florida, not native necessarily, but went to Monteverde Academy. In fact, grew up in a coastal city in Puerto Rico and had about, I think the number was around 40 family and friends at home when the Marlins were home. The Rockies were in town in April. Very involved in the relief efforts of Hurricane Maria last September. Tap to 3rd. Rojas comes home. They get the lead runner Desmond, and there's 1 away.
Nice job by Rojas. I'll tell you what, he's had a nice defensive game himself. And a couple of nice plays on the run. including this slow roller. Another quick look here. Watch the shoulders, squares him before he makes the throw. Nice job. You always want to get your body into position before you obviously have to field the baseball so that you can shorten the path from glove to hand baseball to where you release that baseball. Do it as seamlessly as you can. Nice job by JT Realmuto as well at home. Out number 1.
And that is going to do it for John Gray, as Gerardo Parra will pinch hit for him with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 7th inning. A 3-game multi-hit streak was snapped yesterday. 20 multi-hit games all year for Parra. And this one driven to right field, down the line, and a fair ball off the wall. 1, 2, and 3 runs are going to score.
Well, when it rains, it pours. We barely had an opportunity to get to it.
By the way, Cuevas almost overran Gonzalez. He scored about 2 steps behind him. It's 10-1 Rockies.
Well, this wasn't a question of whether the ball was going to be caught or not. It was just a question of fair or foul. You mentioned the hitting streak that was snapped yesterday. One thing that wasn't snapped was his RBI streak. He came in with a 4-game RBI streak, had punched out 10 RBIs in those 4 games. Make that 13 now in his last 5 games. All it took tonight was 1 pitch. That's all he needed.
And now LeMahieu down the right field line.
Well, this was a hot bat in this situation. Got a pitch to his liking up in the zone and banged it off that yellow line.
LeMahieu takes low. 10 runs on the board tonight for the Rockies. Offense all over the place tonight as well. It's the second baseman of the Rockies sends one out to deep left field, and on the track Dietrich makes the play. Back to second goes Parra. A loud out number 2 here in the 7th. Again, looking around Major League Baseball, the Phillies did in fact finish off the Nationals. They scored 12 tonight. How about the trying to see who this, oh, that's right, it's the Patriots and the Seahawks. 14-10 was the final score at Fenway Park tonight. 10-14-0 for the Mariners, 14-20-0 for the Red Sox. The Mariners scored 4 runs in the first inning. The Red Sox answered back with 5. Ems took the lead in the second inning. They led it 6-5. Then they scored 4 more in the 4th inning. But the Red Sox came back, and Fenway Park has a little bit of a Coors Field effect to it. When the Red Sox offense is going, a game is never over at Fenway Park. They were down 10-5 in the 4th inning, came back and won it 14-10. And J.D. Martinez hit his Major League leading 23rd home run.
Paul, I generally think this time of year, it's funny, you know, I remember back to April and May, so much talk about down offenses and, you know, a lot of strikeouts.
Blackman to left center, Brinson makes the catch.
Summertime, there's going to be more offense.
Oh, you can expand if you'd like in the top of the 8th inning. Marlins live pregame show on the air at 2:30. First pitch a little after 3 back in Miami as the Marlins and the Rockies are at it again. It's Trevor Richards for the Marlins, and Tyler Anderson gets the ball for Colorado. Richards' last start was against the Baltimore Orioles, and we have seen Anderson earlier this year. Anderson pitched against the Marlins, a game that the Rockies won 1-0. He lasted only an inning and a third. Lightheadedness, difficulty breathing. We'll see him tomorrow, hopefully for a little bit longer than we did last time, as Gerardo Parra stays in the ball game. In left field, Noel Cuevas goes out to center field, and Yency Almonte is on the mound in his second big league game. Major League debut yesterday against the Mets. A Miami kid. Maybe he'll be able to figure out, I hope not, but I'm sure the Rockies are wondering, maybe he'll be the one to figure out JT Realmuto, who's got 3 hits tonight, couple of doubles, single back in the 5th.
Well, one thing he's done okay, of course it's only 1 appearance, inherited some runners and they didn't score. That's been a problem for the Colorado Rockies, well documented tonight.
Lined and in and out of the glove of LeMahieu. Boy, that was a rocket off the bat. They had him played perfectly. LeMahieu, the second baseman, right behind the bag.
I wonder if Almonte didn't shield him a little bit from that. That's almost surprising. DJ, 2-time Gold Glove winner.
106.3 off the bat.
That is an absolute rocket. As I said, DJ Gold Glover. I don't see that too often, but again, factor in exit velocity. That should be a base hit.
Well, for now, it is an E4.
I do wonder if Almonte shielded that base hit. Well, it's not a base hit, it's an E.
Right.
Off of the bat. You saw the reaction from LeMahieu, almost seemed stunned. I was thinking back to the Bohr base hit. It was about a week ago.
Baltimore, right?
111 miles an hour off the bat. They eventually changed that to a base hit after ruling it an error.
All right. And a walk for Bohr. I've seen him do that quite a bit this year. In fact, that is the 51st time that Bohr has walked. A no contact night for Bohr, by the way. 3 strikeouts and then that walk here in the 8th.
Watch every out of market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB at Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
2 on for Starlin Castro, had himself a base hit in the 6th inning. And this one grounded to LeMahieu. The flip to Story, and safe at first base. Returning double plays, nothing new for the Rockies. 5 of them yesterday against the Mets. And Castro beat it by a step.
Well, LeMahieu waited back just a bit, tried to get that big hop. Quick little toss to Story, who's got a strong arm. I certainly understand why he may have bought himself a second extra. Story can usually make up for it, but not on this time, not on this play.
So first and third for JT Riddle. Yency, born and raised in Miami, Florida. He's got a brother, Denny, who played professional baseball in the Mariners organization. Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. And he played with Albert Almora Jr. as a kid. a junior of the Chicago Cubs. Chopped right side. Desmond thought about it, and Riddle is going to get an RBI ground out. As Real Muto scores, it's now 10-2. Brett Graves up for the Marlins. And Brian Shaw for the Rockies. Yeah, Yancey still calls Miami home. In fact, his dad's got a baseball academy, and Yancey helps coach there in the offseason. Outside to Miguel Rojas. Rojas up the middle, a base hit. And Freddie Gonzalez going to hold Castro first and third, but another knock for Miggy. It's his second of the game.
He continues his onslaught on this road trip. Another multi-hit effort tonight. Day off didn't slow him down. Good swing of the bat, taking velocity back through the middle. This is the Rojas that we so identified with last year. Hit after hit. He's in the middle of the field and going the other way.
His 13th multi-hit effort of the year. Marlins down to their last 4 offensive outs here, but as we've said 1,000 times, it's never over here.
And that's why Freddie Gonzalez held Starlin Castro at third base. There might be a Marlins fan wondering, oh, you know, come on, base hit to center field. Why wouldn't you send him right there? There's no reason to send him. Starlin Castro's run doesn't mean anything. In fact, Miguel Rojas does neither. You need base runners. You got to get that tying run to the plate. And again, it's just about, you know, piling up those base runners. So unless you're 100% sure your run is scoring, you generally hold guys. You're not asking to make it out at home. Sets up an opportunity for Brinson.
Well, the Rockies did not hold Rojas at first. So that's a defensive indifference. And 2 are in scoring position for Brinson, who chops that one off himself. Still 0-2. We've talked a lot about how Brinson has made strides in the month of June. At the start of play today, he ranked 6th in baseball in what the very intelligent folks at StatCast consider quality contact. 53.3% is the rate of quality contact. They have, I believe the number is about 9 different variations of hits, you know, ground outs or top balls or pop-ups or whatever. But however they characterize, listen, I could sit here and bore everyone with the definition. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to call it quality contact. And he's been, you know, more than half of his contact has been that.
I think it certainly shows itself in his slugging percentage in the month of June, the number of homers and extra base hits he continues to get. The thing that we've seen with Brinson is when he squares up the baseball, particularly up in the zone, he's got a chance to do some big time damage. He's going to learn to learn about that low zone. That's one place he's still kind of battling. As he starts to learn how to adjust to it, I think the results will probably become a lot more consistent. So no surprise, I'm with you. Still think back to the base hit.
That one gets away off the screen, and into score is Castro. To third goes Rojas, and it's 10-3.
I think back to the, not to bring up bad memories, but the win in San Francisco against Strickland. You know, the elevated fastball at 96 miles an hour after getting pushed off home plate. That's impressive stuff. Impressive hitting by the young Brinson. It'll be a wild pitch.
Cut on and miss, 97 miles an hour upstairs for the top 10 prospect in the Rockies system. 10-3 through 7.5. Everyone deserves a second chance. Just play Grouper. Enter your lucky money ticket online and you're registered for the $400,000 Super Grouper Second Chance promotion. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, Nolan Arenado, originally from Newport Beach, California. So growing up, not only was a huge Dodgers fan, he was also a huge fan of Adrian Beltre, who played for Los Angeles from 1998 to 2004. He loved everything about him, from his athleticism to his great defense, and of course the way that he performed at the plate, and still tries to model his game today after Beltre. Guys, can you see any comparisons between Nolan Arenado and Adrian Beltre?
Definitely the glove. What do you got, Holly?
Oh, the happy feet. I mean, Adrian's a little, listen, I played with Adrian. I saw Adrian from the minute he got to the big leagues and played with him early on in his career. Of course, he's been playing forever, but watch their body language at home plate. I think very similar. And again, you watch how Adrian Beltre has gone about his career, power to all fields. Good hitter first with power, much like Arenado. I think that's fair to say. Wouldn't you agree? I know he's got a ton of power, but
right.
We always end up talking about his average first, and you watch the approach. How about the fact that they both have a little bit of a closed stance? I think that's kind of unique in today's game. A lot was made out of Giancarlo Stanton last year when he went to the closed stance. There were a few people out there that were like, why are you doing it? Watch Arenado when his feet finally settle in, where he ends up. See, that closed stance, that front side strong, kind of keeping the weight back but not flying off the baseball. Now, this is classic Arenado. Adrian Beltre very much the same way.
Adrian Beltre is at 465 home runs, approaching 3,100 hits. And, we play this game all the time. Will we ever see another 300-game winner? A long way to 3,000 hits and 500 home runs. Okay, I got that. But playing at this ballpark, and who knows, he's going to be a free agent. I believe it's the end of next year. And I think there are going to be clubs after his services. You wonder if 3,000 hits is going to be in his future a long time from now.
I do. He's that good a hitter. I mean, again, really, 3,000 is about health. You see the numbers in the minors for Graves. That's just really what it comes down to. He's proven that he can hit at sea level and certainly at altitude. Does altitude help you? We've said this about everybody. It does. It helped me. Helps anybody who comes here and gets the opportunity to play here extended. If he chooses to go somewhere else, I still think he's got a great shot if he stays healthy.
Trevor Story takes a look at strike one. Story made a bid for a hit in the third inning. A sinking line drive out to left center field. Lewis Brinson laying out to make a terrific play. Made another bid in the sixth inning for a hit, but JT Riddle with a nice play.
A couple of nice breaking balls from Graves.
It's been one of those nights for the Rockies. A balanced offensive attack. Only Story and LeMahieu, the two starting position players, without hits tonight. A home run from Nolan Arenado in the fourth inning. A 6-run fourth inning for the Rockies to blow it open. For all intents and purposes, knocked Chen out of the game. He finished the fourth inning, but 4 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs. That's kind of been a thing, unfortunately, for Wei-Yin Chen, is kind of getting over the hump of that fifth inning. He had gone 4 1/3 innings in each of his previous 2 starts prior to his last, which was a 6-inning outing against the Baltimore Orioles. But it's about consistency from Wei-Yin Chen going forward, figuring out how to get, 5 and 6, perhaps even 7 innings mixed in every once in a while.
Right. Yeah, and I think tonight, you look at that fourth inning, and he got rockied, if you will. It's kind of what they did. They took this ballpark, exploited it, got aggressive on the bases, and then got real aggressive at the end. You get to the Arenado home run. You've got to have a mental toughness about you to pitch here as a Rocky, particularly as a starter. I think back to, I believe, one of the Rockies that will be here tomorrow, Pedro Estacio. I played with him in both Los Angeles and here, and he was one of the most mentally tough. I mean, he would go out and win double digits for you with a 5+ ERA year in and year out. Didn't bother him. I mean, it would get to him a little bit every now and again, but he knew that his job was to give length, protect the bullpen, and give his team a chance to win, and he kind of looked at it that way. You get to the end of the season, you'd see 5.32, and you say, well, there's that little bloated, ERA, but you'd see 180 innings, you'd see a lot more wins.
Story into left field. It one hops the wall. Be an extra base hit for the Rockies shortstop with 1 out here in the 8th. Time for T-Mobile's Hats Off for Heroes. Tonight we focus in on Rangers pitcher Matt Moore, who has been raising funds for PTSD research with Project Hero, donating $50 for every strikeout this season. For Matt Moore, whose Texas Rangers won 8-1 tonight over the Minnesota Twins. And in that game, Shin-Soo Choo had himself a couple of hits and 3 RBIs. Choo has now reached base in 35 straight games. Marlins' Brian Anderson is a little off the pace, but a hit earlier tonight. He's up to 19 straight on base.
We'll get another crack at it in the 9th inning.
He due up third. Might get a crack at this one. Out to right field, up against the wall, makes the play. And back to second goes Story. Two doubles tonight for Tom Murphy. His RBI double in the second got the scoring started for Colorado. Drove home Ian Desmond. Brooks Pounders on the left and Brian Shaw on the right. Rockies will lead by at least 7 going into the 9th inning. Broken bat right back up the middle. Another hit for Murphy as it gets under the glove of Castro, and the score is Story. It's an 11-3 lead for Colorado. 3 hits tonight for Murph.
Well, you don't have to have hard contact all the time here at Coors Field. One thing that does still happen, you've got a fast infield. Balls get through. You saw it right there. Ball almost accelerating past the mound. As you mentioned, 3rd hit of the night for Murphy.
He was recalled from AAA Albuquerque on June 12th. This is already his 3rd multi-hit game. And 2nd 3-hit game. As Cargo swings and misses. It's 0-2.
Everybody gets excited to play here.
Yeah, I think so. Except maybe the pitchers.
Well, generally.
The Rockies have tried a million different things.
Yeah.
And if anybody could figure out, Cargo's a little frustrated with how that one went. So we'll finish that thought a little later. Another run in for Colorado. We head to the 9th here at Coors Field. West, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, in pursuit of your cure, and by your South Florida Honda dealers. Here at Coors Field. And all Rockies tonight, 11 runs, 15 hits, and 1 error. Meanwhile, the Marlins 3-9-1. The 3rd pitcher of the night for Colorado after 7 amazing innings from their starter John Gray. No walks, 12 strikeouts. And now Brooks Pounders takes over, his 14th game of the season.
Well, Pounders, you see the ERA, 8.16, 14 1/3 innings. Does have the 16 strikeouts. Opponent's batting average 375. I think that Pounders would tell you he's kind of an example of what this Rockies bullpen is going through.
6'5", 255. As Cameron Maben off the bench for the Marlins. Takes ball 1.
So you're saying 255 pounders?
Yes.
Like that?
That's good. Yeah. Really good. Not a great name for a pitcher, though. You know, like,
well, especially
Bob Walk,
if you're
not a good name.
Especially if your manager says, make sure you show up to spring training at 235 pounders. Now, I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying out loud.
Right. He is the second relief pitcher tonight for the Rockies. This is a club that is, now tonight they've already given up a couple of runs, but 22-4 when they don't allow runs. Obviously, you figure that'd be pretty good, but that has not been the case a lot of times this year for the Rockies. And this is not a Brooks Pounders issue. This is a Rockies bullpen issue outside of Adam Ottavino, as we talked about before.
Well, it has been complicated when you figure that they brought Brian Shaw on board, multi-year deal, re-signed their own Jake McGee. Got one of the hottest closers on the market in Wade Davis. You can go back a year and talk about Mike Dunn. Signed him to a 3-year deal. When you kind of add it up, they've spent a lot of money in their bullpen. So you kind of get where they're willing to go and how much they're willing to spend, you know, to slam the door shut at the end of the day. And right, this is Coors Field. 24-mile-an-hour fastball inside corner, strikes out Maben. So when that money doesn't, you know, turn into the production, the expected production, you see how complicated it can get. That's what's making Rockies fans nervous this year. It's supposed to be one of the best bullpens in all of baseball, and it's in fact been one of the worst.
WB Mason post-game show, Marlins live post-game show, coming up with Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson. We'll hear from Don Mattingly, get his thoughts on the outing from Wei-Yin Chen and the night from Derek Dietrich, who homered earlier and is hustling into second base with his 3rd hit of the night. Need a rally. He's triple shy of the cycle.
Well, he's been all over it. 15th double of the season. Got the box ready to hit there in the 9th. First good pitch he saw. He jumped all over. Saw Pounders miss location badly. That was supposed to be to the outside part of the plate. Drifted all the way back in. Derek ready to swing it. Second extra base hit of the night.
5th time this year he's registered 3 hits.
Yeah, how about a base hit? How about a home run to left, a base hit to center, and a double to right at Coors Field? That's a good game plan, good approach for a series.
Again, as I glance at the out-of-town scoreboard here, we talked about the Mariners and the Red Sox scoring a bunch of runs early. Well, the Orioles scored 6 runs in the top of the 9th inning against the Atlanta Braves, who scored 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they play on in the bottom of the 10th.
Yeah, I think we kind of had moved on with the standings. I think that's when we were talking about that game. If I remember correctly, you'd mentioned, oh, it looks like the Braves are going to win. And
they're cruising
along, right? Tell you what, those O's get some fight in them.
They certainly do. Once down 7-3. The Braves come back. Well, listen, I've seen that one firsthand. The erasing of 9th inning deficits as Anderson lines one to right field. Cargo puts it away. Dietrich will tag and head to 3rd. But the Marlins are down to their last out tonight. The other cool thing the Braves are doing this weekend, they're wearing their old unis from the 70s, Hank Aaron weekend. JT Realmuto, couple of doubles, a single, part of a 3-for-4 night. Thing is, the only time he scored was when he reached on an error in the 8th inning. Who knows how different this game would have been, but when he doubled in the 1st inning, it was 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. Marlins couldn't get him home. We spent 3 days in Baltimore, didn't see Chris Davis once.
Right. Well, he was going to make his way back. In fact, he homered tonight off Sean Newcomb, yeah. Sean Newcomb, one of the best young lefties in the National League, so maybe he's got that swing figured out. A couple of RBIs. I believe he had a sacrifice fly that 9th inning you were talking about.
2-1 to JT. Elsewhere, the Milwaukee Brewers, who did not register a hit until the 7th inning on a home run by Jesus Aguilar, then walked off on another home run from Jesus Aguilar in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they beat the St. Louis Cardinals 2-1. His 16th home run of the season. Three and 1 to JT. And the Marlins down to their last strike. On the air tomorrow at 2:30. Marlins live pregame show. Trevor Richards and Tyler Anderson, the 2 starting pitchers. The 3-2 pitch on the way, and that's fouled back to the screen. Dietrich a 3-hit night. Real Muto a 3-hit night. Marlins have 10 hits as a club. Popped up. Foul ground, it's Desmond. And the Rockies have won 4 straight at home as they close out the Marlins tonight. 11-3 the final score to take the opener of this 3-game series. John Gray, 12 strikeouts, no walks. He picks up the win. We're back to wrap it up here at Coors Field next.